Good morning, everyone. It's an awesome day in paradise today, doing what I love to do and hopefully what you love to do too. Now, today is an awesome day because today we're going to attempt to paint this home right here in one day. Now, the average cost to paint a 1,500 square foot home is about $5,000. That's a lot of money for a rental property that I'm trying to flip to get it rented and do it at the lowest cost possible. Now, if I were to paint it myself, I would pay about $500. That's about 10% of the total cost to have somebody else paint this home. I say $500 because it's gonna take about 2 5-gallon buckets and 1-gallon container of paint for the trim. So if you wanna learn how I did this, stay with me to learn some more. Okay, so you've made it past the introduction of the video and you're still interested in learning to paint your home in one day. Now, obviously, there are several stipulations to painting your home in one day. Not every home can be painted in one day, okay? This home, for example, I think I could paint it in one day. It's a smooth fiber cement siding that I have on this home. I'm not gonna be painting the posts. And I'm also doing the soffit with one color, the same color as the walls. I'm painting it a very light color. Plus, I've gotten a lot of the caulking and a lot of the prep work done on a previous day. I'm saying that this project cost me $500 because I already had a paint sprayer and I already had a lot of the materials that I needed to set up and prep this home. Safety first. You want to make sure that your home does not have lead-based paint. If your home was built or refaced prior to 1978, you have to consider that the house might have something that's poisonous. So there's a test kit available on Amazon that you could purchase that can help you with that. I'm getting bit by mosquitoes. The next thing you have to consider is if you're sanding your home and it's made of a fiber cement type of material, it might be asbestos. So you also want to go ahead and purchase the asbestos kit also on Amazon to make sure that you're safe and that you're not getting sick. It's not worth painting your home in one day if you're gonna die or get sick. And that was a good segue to talk to you about insect repellent. You want to make sure you carry one of these with you at all times. There's nothing more annoying than getting bit all day by mosquitoes. So buy yourself some of this stuff. Link is right there. All right, so I wanted to take a few minutes to talk to you about the exterior of your home. So if you have a home, let's say that's fiber cement, it's a lot easier to paint a smooth surface like fiber cement than painting a property or a home that's made of stucco. If it's made of stucco, the home tends to absorb the paint and you might have to paint it 3 times over before it actually starts looking nice. So those are some things to consider. It's easier to paint a fiber cement home than a stucco home. If it's too cold, you don't want to paint when the temperature is too cold because it's not going to stick to the house properly. If it's too windy, you don't want the paint spraying everywhere except your home, and you're going to lose a lot of time and money. Okay, so I narrowed this painting project down to 4 steps. Step number 1 is making sure that you pressure wash or clean the entire area. You're not going to get your paint to stick if it's dirty. Step number 2 has to do with the paint selection process. Now, if you live in a subdivision, there may be restrictions as to the color that you could paint your property. This property is located in nowhere, so I could paint it whatever color I want. Obviously, this property used to be this color, which is red. The wife didn't like it, so I had to paint it a different color. The color I decided to go with was a light gray color. I chose it because it's going to make my project a lot easier. I found this picture of this home that I liked where the wall and the skirt was the same color, and I kind of liked it because I wanted this property to blend in.
And now for step number 3, we have to determine how much paint we need to purchase. If you visit Bear.com, Bear has a good breakdown and a calculator to determine how much paint you need to purchase. As a good rule of thumb, each gallon covers about 250 square feet to 400 square feet. If the property has never been painted before, you have to consider that it may need 2 coats. So you may need to purchase twice as much paint as you normally would. For this project, I had to paint the patio, the soffit, as well as the porch. That's additional square footage that I would have to consider in purchasing the paint. In total, I decided to go with 10 gallons worth of paint and an additional gallon for the trim.
So the last thing, step number 4 that you need to consider is making sure that you prep your area, meaning the workspace that you're going to be painting. Cover up the bushes, cover up the area that you don't want to paint. That's pretty much it. So 4 steps. Let's get started. So this hideous looking piece of machinery is the sprayer that I'll be using to spray this home. Now, it looks horrible because it's been through a lot of projects, so you know it works. This is a Graco True Airless Magnum sprayer. It's intended for a 5-gallon bucket. I've got this bucket full of water, and I'm gonna go through the steps that I go through to get the sprayer to work. So the first thing that I have to do is take this off to make sure that I have access to the filter. So all I have to do is just unscrew this here. So I've already loosened it up. As soon as I do that, that exposes this little thing right here, this filter. All right, so I've got my little plier. I'm gonna pull this out, and I definitely have to clean this out. Very dirty. All right, so I'm just gonna try to clear as much as I can. Okay, so here you go, nice and clean, ready to be used. So I'm gonna put this back. Putting it back is pretty simple, just slip that in, and then grab this and put this back. Okay, so this is what I go through to prime or get this machine ready for paint. So the first thing I gotta do is make sure that it's connected to a power source. This is the on switch here. Once I turn it on, it will start making noise. You wanna make sure that this end is inside a clear bucket, somewhat clear bucket, and that this little end right here is gonna push the paint out or the water out. So as soon as I turn it on, it's gonna start making noise. I push this out here, and that's gonna open this up so that the paint goes through here and it's prepped or primed. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Switch is on, pull this out. You can see the water coming out. Now it's primed, so I put the switch back. Okay, so that means that there's water and pressure built up through the system. Now I want to take this end and put it inside the 5-gallon container. And I want to leave this here. I don't want water to go inside the paint container. I want the paint to come out through here. I'm going to take this end, let the water come out, put this right in there. Perfect, they put a lot of paint in there. Okay, now that I have the one end in here, that's gonna pick up the paint and push it through the system, I'm gonna go ahead and pressurize it and then leave this end for the waste. And as soon as I see some paint coming out through here, I'm going to press the lever down. All right, let's do it. Close the system, so now it's pressurized and ready for me to use the paint. Okay, I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about the materials that I purchased and that I'm gonna use to paint this project. The first one, the one I'm gonna use the most, well, obviously the paint sprayer, but these cardboard pieces that I got a bunch of these. I'm gonna use this to cover up the windows so that I don't have to waste time taping up the windows, which would take additional time to do, and I wanna finish this in one day. The next thing you're gonna wanna have is this tape gun. This is awesome, and get something with plastic on it. So if there is anything that you need to cover, this is the way to do it, with a tape gun. I also purchased paper to go along with this plastic. So that's still included in the total price, not the tape gun, but the plastic that I'm gonna use to cover up some of the areas in the house, as well as the paper that I'm gonna use as well. I just wanted to talk to you about the product that I use. I love Loctite stuff. This is an awesome sealer. It's the polyurethane sealant, window, door, and siding. So I use this mainly around the windows and around the end pieces of the siding. It's not raining, it's just a lot of debris falling down. Hopefully it's not raining today. So I do recommend this. Also, you need to purchase some tape. I purchased just a regular white tape. Now you want to make sure that once you put this on that you take it off the same day, because if you let it sit more than 24 hours, the glue starts coming off and it's going to be a nightmare to take off. So, one day use. And that's pretty much all that I have right now. All right, so I'm about to get started, finish prepping. It's about 10 in the morning, so we'll see how far I get. Let's go. Time lapse time. Okay, so I'm gonna take a little break from painting to talk to you about our sponsor, Bear. No, I'm just kidding. Nobody sponsors me. Okay, so I've got this big piece of cardboard, okay? I could use it to shield the window. Now, I technically don't have to. I could come close to the window. If you have enough practice, you could do something like this. You could spray and just come close to the window and push it that way. Angle the sprayer that way so it doesn't come close to the window and you don't have any overspray on the window. Now, if you want to use some cardboard, this works perfectly too, because now I could do this. I don't have the risk of getting near the window, so that works for me. Okay, I'm moving up to the front section of the house. I wanted to take a moment to talk to you about the sprayer and this tip that I'm using. It's a 211 tip, so if you made it to this portion of the video, you're welcome. This little tip is the best. It's a smaller tip so that you don't have the risk of overspraying everywhere. And I think I'm gonna stick with this for the rest of the project. I do have other tips, but I like this one the most. Here's an update. I'm moving on to the front of the property. Just wanted to give you an idea of the color scheme that I'm using. So these posts and everything here, I'm thinking of staining it. Haven't decided yet. It's either going to be white or stained, a light stain. I saved a lot of time by spraying the ceiling the same color as the walls. And the only thing I'm going to paint is the trim, and that's going to be white. And that's what I've got so far. So the next thing I gotta paint is the front of the house. All right, here's an update. It is 1 p.m. now, and I'm just about finished with the back of the house. I'm gonna continue time-lapsing until it's done. All right, so I finished the sides of the house. I still have this area to do, the ceiling, so I wanted to show you what I do to cover my face. Obviously, I'm gonna put on the paint suit. I use this mask to protect my face, so when the paint falls, it falls on the mask. However, if it falls on the mask, this is trash because I can't get the paint off. The next thing I use to protect the outside of the mask is saran wrap. So I'll take the saran wrap, I'll pull it out, cover up the mask, and break it off. And I'll stretch it out. So what this will do is it'll protect the mask from paint that falls on top of it. And if it gets real dirty, I'll simply exchange it for another one. It'll look something like that. Okay? And that's pretty much the secret that I have with the mask. So I'm gonna spray a little bit of anti-fog spray there. And then I'll just wear the mask. Ready to go. Okay, I'm ready to go ninja on the ceiling on this patio. So I've got my mask on to protect my hair, or my toupee, and I've got my saran wrap with a mask to protect my face and my mask. Here we go. Okay, well, I wanted to show you a close-up view of what this looks like when I spray everything. So I'm gonna start from that end, work my way down, and then we'll continue time-lapsing. Here we go. I prefer to use flat on the exterior because it hides imperfections, and you're seldom gonna be out there getting the walls dirty and damaging it. So I prefer to use flat because it just looks beautiful. If you want to use eggshell, go at it. I've seen my coworkers use semi-gloss on doors and garage doors. So if you want to use that, it works really well, and I recommend that. All right, so the paint that I decided to use today, you could tell by the hat, it's Behr paint. I used the Behr Premium Plus paint and primer. I actually only had to paint it once, and the skirt, everything that was made of wood, I had to paint it twice. But this had good coverage, it did well for me. And the color that I chose for the outside of the house is a chic gray. And I paired that with the exterior flat white, just plain white for the trim on the windows. So that's all I use, chic gray for the walls, and then just white for the trim on the windows. So semi-gloss works well on high traffic areas such as a door, garage doors. So I prefer to use semi-gloss for high traffic areas and flat on the overall exterior of the home. All right, so I'm back at the section of the house where I first started. Everything actually looks really good with one coat. I did go a little heavy on it because I guessed that it was only gonna need one coat. The thing that does need a second coat, and you can see it in the bottom, is the skirt because it absorbed a lot of the paint. So I'm gonna go over that again. All right, just to let you know where I'm at in the process, it's now 2 o'clock. I finished painting the wall. Now I'm gonna touch up the areas that I couldn't get with the sprayer. All right, it is now 4:39. I'm pretty much finished now. I just have to wrap up and take all my stuff out of here. All right, so I've got a bucket of fresh water. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this hose, the bigger hose, I'm gonna put it in the clear water, okay? This end is gonna go into the waste bucket. I'm gonna turn on the system and let whatever paint is in here drain out, and I want this to come out clear before I store it. I'll take the hose or the spray and I'll put whatever paint is inside the hose back into the 5-gallon container. So I'm gonna continue to push the remaining paint inside the waste bucket. Next thing I wanna do is take this out, and I wanna make sure this thing is clean. So I'll use a wire brush, whatever I need to do to make sure that this is clean. Okay, so now what I wanna do is I wanna take everything here, the entire sprayer, and put it inside this plastic bag. I do that because if it starts leaking inside the truck and it has some paint left behind, I don't want it to damage the truck. So I'm gonna take this whole thing and I'm gonna put it in a plastic bag. Just like this. All right, the time is now 4:45 and I've just finished the house. I managed to paint the trim. I gave it 2 coats with a brush, and that took the longest. I want to give you a quick preview of the house so you can know what it looks like. Okay, so here it is. I wasn't too sure whether or not I was going to paint the trim up there white, so I just left it like that. For some reason, the white blends in with the gray. It's a very light gray color. I like it. It turned out well. Those things at the top are going to be covered by a drip edge, so I'm going to put metal on that. So something I'm not too worried about. Overall, the trim looks great. Just want to walk around and show you the rest of the home. So as you can see, the ceiling was also painted the same color as the walls. Trim in the front was painted. All right, I think everything turned out great. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I was able to do it in one day. Of course, I got to go back and do a few touch-ups here and there, but for the most part, project completed. Painted this house in under $500 in one day, and that was my goal, and I accomplished that. So I want to thank you for sticking around. If you made it to the end of the video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. If you like what you saw, please be sure to subscribe because I've got more content coming in. Thank you.